Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Jalea XO. In today's episode, I am going to be talking about detaching from your phone, okay? That is it's something that I think honestly, I like 80% of the population needs to hear. And I know that's a very high number, but that's how it is. It's so many different groups. It's so many different groups because there's so many different genres and things to talk about on social media and things to do on social media, not just social media, but being on a device, period. I mean, you have the anything in the entertainment section, such as social media or, you know, movie streaming platforms, and then you have games, a whole bunch of different things. So this episode is mainly speaking on the things that aren't productive that you're doing on any device, but even if you are doing something productive on your device, I don't think that you should be on there for the amount of time that I've seen people be on their phone. Let's jump into it. The first thing to this episode, the first question I have for you guys, maybe the only question, but to start this episode, I am asking you guys, how does your phone make you feel? There are so many benefits to devices, and then there are things that I think and that studies have shown that can be so detrimental to your brain. I'm going to tell you guys something. A lot of the time that I'm seeing recently is that the creators of a lot of businesses in the entertainment business and the food industry is these people do not want their loved ones engaging, consuming anything like that with their own products. So that tells you everything that you need to know. I mean, come on. So, yeah, again, how does your phone make you feel? I'm going to say for myself, I know that there are many benefits to my phone. I have a lot of apps that are filled with knowledge that I utilize to this day. And then there's also, things such like on social media where it's just a lot of negativity. I recently I recently I tried to, I would be on social media a little bit more just to I love, it's fun when it's fun. Um and then I was trying to certain I was trying to study the trends. If you know me, I mean, a few people know this, but actually I took editing courses and I went to a specific type of school briefly for maybe like a year or two where it was a school related to the entertainment industry, and we basically we spoke about patterns, not necessarily patterns, but just how to interact with people and things of that nature. I'm mentioning this to say, though I'm so serious when I say I was also being on social media to study trends and whatnot, and just get more insight into what I can do to help everything that that I'm doing in the entertainment field. But yeah, and also just on social media, I feel like, I mean, speaking from experience with I love studying esoteric knowledge, and just going on a search engine and trying to research it doesn't all the time show you what everything that you're looking for. A lot of things are filtered out. When I'm on social media, I'm able to definitely find a lot of folk who have went to school or experienced the things that I'm studying, things of that matter, I'm able to hear them talk about it and am able to see these things firsthand. Also, I'm not able to just search. I'm not able to all the time to search on search engines. Okay, books in this genre, and I'm not able to do it and find the best books all the time. But social media, it helps to get more descriptions on these books and also find really great books, especially books that not everyone knows about. But that's just my experience. So yeah, our phones, they have a lot of benefits and they have a lot of downfalls. They have a lot of downfalls, but at the end of the day, the research doesn't lie, and devices, that instant dopamine, that instant gratification, not even just the instant gratification, but the negativity that's online in games, on social media, in films, TV shows, movies, that is not good for the brain. It rewires your brain, and it it influences you in ways that isn't pretty, which is why, and we're going to get to our next point, which is why we have to bring that energy back to ourselves. All that energy that you're putting into your device of any kind, you need to bring that energy back to self. Put that energy towards something that benefits you, something that you love. If you have different hobbies that you want to try, or even you already have hobbies, but you're not really putting in a lot of time towards these hobbies, you're not engaging in them. Take the same energy that you're putting into your device, whatever you're doing on that device, take that energy and put it towards your hobbies. Take that energy and start going out. You know what they say, life is what happens when you're busy making other plans. Take that energy and put it towards your mental health. I'm so serious, guys. Being on those devices, especially at the rate that people are on them, it is not beneficial. And like I had mentioned before, is a lot of there's a lot of knowledge that you can find with these devices and whatnot. But some of a lot of the things that these devices are typically used for, they are not beneficial at all. And I'm gonna just point out something specific, and it's all the negativity that's on social media. It is not good for the mental health. I had to offload the app. I mean, I haven't deleted it just because I definitely want to utilize the benefits from social media. So I don't want to just delete it completely, but I had to offload it again. It seems that the wars on social media, and I'm gonna elaborate on that. It just seems that they've increased recently. It's like the agenda to push all that propaganda is increasing so hard. And let me elaborate on what I'm talking about. There seems to be such a big gender war going on social media right now. And as much as I try to clean my feed on like all the apps, some of them just really won't clean. Even if I refresh them, they end up bringing a whole bunch of crazy mess back. But it seems to be a big gender wars going on right now. And I was mentioning my feed because I make sure to surround myself and look at things that are positive. And I definitely did see those videos on my feeds, but I also saw a bunch of the gender wars. And it's not cool. At the end of the day, we all have to come together in unity. We have to be unified. I'm telling you right now, it's like people are pushing an agenda, you guys. People are pushing an agenda. You get off those phones. If the I'm gonna speak from experience. So, that was like a big network wipeout in a city I was in. That was a big network wipeout. So like the power in those cities all around, it was out for, I mean, for some people it was out for a week to 2 weeks. For me, it was maybe only it was close to a week. The point is, without those devices, I saw the neighborhood, the communities come together, and it was such a beautiful thing to see. So I'm mentioning that to say that you guys, it is a bunch of propaganda that's being pushed. And I'm not going to say that some of the things that they mentioned, like, okay, certain people do this, this has happened to people, yada, yada, yada. I'm not going to say that that is a lie, but I am going to say that it's an agenda being pushed to make people feel disconnected. Again, I'm not going to say that any things that have been pointed out haven't happened, like, just any bad things that have happened between the genders haven't happened. I'm not gonna say that it ceased to exist, because there definitely have been things that aren't the best. But it's an agenda. It's being the whole disconnect between the two genders, even just genders in itself, like all the insecurities that you see on social media, they're being pushed so hard, you guys. They're being pushed so hard. But anyway, so yeah, bring that energy back to your mental health. And another thing, bring that energy to expanding your knowledge. I'm gonna tell you this right now. Um, you know, I'm always hearing, I'm always hearing that you're never too old to learn. I'm always hearing that throughout my community. You're never too old to learn. And I'm gonna tell you this now. Going to a university or anything like that, that's not the only way to learn. That's not the only method to learning. And we know this because when people have graduated from these universities, everybody's education doesn't stop. There are people out there who continue to learn. But yeah, you don't need, you know, there are so many different methods to learning. There are so many different ways to learning. I'm going to point this out because it seems to be a big thing that's circulating circulating right now. Maybe not with everybody, but around me it's been a big topic recently. And I know that the knowledge that I inquire is beneficial to so many people. So I'm going to mention this. I don't recall their name right now. That was a scientist who got a lot of his research from his wife, who at the time was not allowed to go to schools because it wasn't, women's rights hadn't progressed at this time, so his wife wasn't allowed to go to school. However, this famous scientist who has made great discoveries, they got this information from their wife who couldn't go to any type of school. They couldn't go to a public school. They couldn't go to a public school. They couldn't go to a private school. They couldn't go to college. They couldn't go to a university. They couldn't do these things. And yet they contributed to huge scientific research. So that's to say, you don't need to learn in traditional ways. And I think especially this is a big thing for the neurodivergent community, because I'm gonna tell you right now, it is so hard trying to and learn in the ways that the school system tries, the agenda that they, the way that they try to make you learn. I'm gonna tell you right now, oh my gosh, in school, when like in public school, I would, in the earlier grades, the information was just like so simple that I was able to start zoning out and still make A's on all my tests, finish this all each semester at the top of my class. And I actually was like, I was the top female in my class every single year. Able to finish at the top because it's just like it's so simple. It's so simple, Um, there's yeah, it's so simple. So third grade, it was crazy for me. There was a science lesson one time, and I was zoning out so hard, like I would always do. but this time it was some like completely different new it was some completely different information. And I zoned out. That was the first time I made a C. I was like so I can't it's crazy that I'm telling this story because I that was like such an embarrassment for me at that time. But yeah, no, that was my first time I made a C. And it's just to say, I'm saying this to say I'm not able, still not really able to just like sit there and listen to somebody talk and maybe not zone out. I find myself always having to bring my attention back to them. I have to do certain things to keep my attention on people. And this is with me without any type of screen time. My mother was so like strict on, okay, you're not getting any screen time, or whatever. Like she would give us minimum screen time, maybe like 30 minutes of screen time. And um even with the TV, my siblings were often the one with the remote. And so I wasn't picking what I wanted to watch, and I just like I don't know, I didn't even really care all the time. So I didn't care about what was on the TV. So, I'm just like, okay, like whatever. I'm saying, yeah, but I'm mentioning that because I didn't have a lot of screen time, and the excuse, oh, you can't focus because you have a lot of screen time, is just like it's crazy. But anyway, so seventh grade was like it was such a big thing for me because I was zoning out so hard. And although I was making A's and whatnot, luckily I had ended up switching the type of school system I was in and whatever. So I was able to go back and look on the videos and whatnot and like rewatch them, because by the time the lesson was over, I like never heard I heard a few things you said, and that was it. I was able to go back and look at the video. So it was okay. I was still able to continue to make those A's. Even though I was making those A's, that was such a stressful time for me. And even like the first semester of eighth grade, it was so stressful because I still hadn't found the best methods. I mean, even though I was going back and watching the videos and like forcing myself to like zone in, it was just like especially in the way that certain teachers teach, it was just such a hard time for me. I had to find specific methods, and I'm gonna tell the method just because this could help someone. But I would have to with my school system, I was able to look at the video, and then they had captions with the videos, so I was able to like well, they had a transcript. It wasn't captions. They had a transcript. So I was able to read the transcript while I was looking at the video. And I wouldn't even like just watch the video. What I would do is copy and paste the transcript into my notes, and then I would edit my notes how I wanted my notes to be edited. So that was a big thing. I definitely am able to retain information when I read stuff. Like it's so easy to retain information. Um and that's another thing with the school system. It's like I'm getting off topic here, but it's like, it needs to be more than just retaining information, but that seems to be the way it's set up. But anyway, yeah. No, and with the when me switching the school system, I was able to learn so many different things, not just retain information, but I was learning different things because my curiosity was able to just go wild, and I was able to research things, and also just like have my own independent studies as well. So yeah. But anyway, I'm getting off track here, but I'm just really want to share this method because I was like crying every single time I had a lesson just because it was so hard for me. I would zone out. I would try so hard to pay attention, and then I would zone out. And when I would try to focus, I would start thinking, having thoughts about me trying to focus. And I was doing that while making straight A's. So, I never really like no one would ever, it was no point for anyone to pull me aside and be like, okay, hey, we need to do this, we need to do this for you, we need to do that because I'm making straight A's. So, you know, it's not no concern it's being raised. And I'm not gonna say that it's concerning because now I use those things to my advantage. But yeah, so like I was saying, able to just pull the transcript up, copy and paste it, and then like edit it for my notes. And then after I edited all the notes, like the whole lesson, mind you, these were like hour-long lessons. So yeah, anyway, after I edited all the notes, I would then still go back and watch the video. And even if I zoned out a little, you know, it was okay because I already read all of this. So yeah, that's what I did. That's what I did. And I didn't have to do open books because after reading the information when making my notes and then also just like listening to the lesson itself, it was embedded into my subconscious. So I didn't need to do an open book test. But anyway, I just had to kind of bring that up because I, want to help other people, and it just the whole knowledge thing, everybody needing to have a traditional type of way of learning just keeps resurfacing in my life, and I'm from other people, and I'm just like, okay, well, there's that. But anyway, next thing, you guys. Next thing, learn not to be so reliant on your phone. So many people, I feel like it's so crazy how reliant people are on their phone at this point. We have our maps on our phones. We are able to communicate with people from these phones. We don't have to send smoke signals anymore or pigeons. We don't have to do that. Um, if you want to check the spelling, if you want to, check how something is spelled, then you can just go search it on your phone. You don't have to pull out a dictionary and so many other things. You guys you gotta stop being so reliant on it. I'm not gonna say don't utilize it because you should make your life as easy as it can be. But, it's difference between utilizing something and not knowing how to function at all without whatever is being utilized. I see a lot of, you'll see a lot of, this is not just throw shade at anyone. You can do whatever you want to do in your marriage, but I've seen a lot of mothers in marriage have their own, make sure they have their own separate, even if their husband pays for everything, they still make sure to have their own savings and whatnot, just in case, just in case. So yeah, I don't want to go too deep into that because I don't want to be mean to anybody, and I'm not trying to make it like I'm a hater or something like that. But I just needed to bring that up because though their husband provides everything, they're still going to be able to take care of themselves if anything were to go wrong. So learn not to be so reliant on it. I have my own personal dictionary, and um that's another thing. Like I was saying, when I read things and like just making notes myself, I'm able to remember things way better. So when I search words up on my phone or something, I might forget the forget what it means later. But going in the dictionary, I have to, okay, well, what letter, you know, what section is it going to be in and stuff. And then, okay, let me search, let me find it. Okay, and then this is what it means and blah 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 blah. So it's like a whole process. I feel like just because it's much less dopamine that it helps with me remembering the definition of the word. So yeah, and then with maps. So recently I definitely been tested with not being able to use maps. And what is funny is the day before I was tested with not being able to use my phone map, I was watching a show and I was like, you're in a whole other city and you're having to look at this map. I wonder if I would be able to read a map. And I'm just like, I'm glad I don't have to. But then the next day I went out and I got lost and I didn't like have a way to contact anyone. I couldn't, and I just had to like find my own way back to where I needed to go. And so I had to use my compass, and I was remembering street names and stuff. That's not reading a map, but I actually, I did briefly look at look at my map because I was still able to look at the map on my phone. I just couldn't use the map since I didn't have any my network, my Wi-Fi wasn't working or whatever. So I had to like I had to just, do it how they would in the early 2000s and before that. So yeah, just again, I'm not saying that you shouldn't utilize the tools that we have in this age, but also remember that you need to know how to navigate your life without said thing. Moving on, do not go from just being on your phone. What I've seen, I'm gonna say on average, people will have 8 hours of screen time a day. I don't really think I think it's not the best to go from having 8 hours of screen time on your phone to 0 hours because I feel eventually you're just going to get back in the habit of scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. So I'll say go from 8 hours to like 7 hours and 40 minutes maybe, or maybe cutting it down to like 7 hours completely, something like that, and then gradually bring it down to maybe just like keeping it at an average of 2 hours a day. Um, yeah, so that's a big thing, and there are so many apps out there that you can use to help you with making blocking certain apps on your phone once you get to a certain screen time. And even the apps nowadays, they have it so that you can go to the settings and make it so that it you just aren't able to use that singular app after so much time of being on it. So yeah, take those smaller steps. Lastly, you guys, be present. Something that makes me feel so sad is being in a public setting or something, just being out with folk, or not even having to be in a public setting, but trying to spend time with people and they're on their phone for a good bit of it. It is so sad. It just makes me so sad. And I'm just like, be present, like I'm right here. I'm right here and you're not paying any type of attention to me. You're not paying any type of attention to the setting. You're not noticing anything. And it's like it's so bad. It's not even bad because you're not being there with your friends, your family, whoever it is. But it's also bad because if you're in a public setting and you're that tuned into your device, you guys, so many things could be happening around you, and like good or bad, and you're not even noticing it. Imagine you were in a store and the store clerk was like, okay, well, we're locking up, but you were on the toilet in the bathroom scrolling on your phone and you didn't hear they were closing up, and they've like turned all the lights off and whatever. They locked the whole store up, but you're still in the restroom. Now, I don't know if that could like realistically happen because I don't know. They might have to look in every section before they close, but they're probably not even doing that because they want to go on their phones too. They want to go on their iPads. They want to go watch home and watch TV. They want to be on their laptop, whatever. So, yeah, just being present. Be present because it's a gift. I've said this in another episode. That's hilarious. But yeah, be present. And there's so many great things happening. You just have to look up to see them. But this was an interesting episode to make. There's so many things I can go into on this topic, but I don't want to be, you know, a negative Nancy. I'm so passionate on the fact that I'm there. Guys, if people care about the public so much, why would they allow certain videos to be up on social media? And we can't say that, oh, there's laws and stating that they can't do this because y'all, they take a lot of videos down. They take a lot of. beneficial videos down, and there's just like, I mean, they take videos down, you guys. They take videos down that don't all the time need to be taken down. So you can take videos down that do need to be taken down. And at the end of the day, it's your app, so you could have it so that certain content is being blocked. Which is why I'm saying, like, it's no, they're not gonna take the steps to change. The people that are supposed to be, helping the community, they're not taking the steps to help us. You have to take the steps to help your own self. Yeah, let's be present. I feel like 2000 shows do so much better than post 2015 shows, because with the 2000 shows, they were so present and it wasn't a whole bunch of the craziness that comes with these phones and stuff. So yeah, this was definitely an interesting episode to make. And I disclosed I definitely was a little bit vulnerable in this episode, because a lot of the time, for a bit, my knowledge has been so closely tied to my identity, just because of how other people have spoken about me and whatnot. So for me to talk about just struggling, and even that low grade is such a huge thing. And I hope that there are other people who can connect to this and just know that, like, those things are your superpowers. I'm gonna tell you right now, a lot of successful business owners, a lot of successful people in the entertainment industry, they were bullied in school, and or they're neurodivergent, just a lot of those things. I'm saying this to say that what you see as struggle now, you can use to your benefit later. Yes, I love that. On that note, you guys, thank you so much for listening to another episode of Juliet XO, or maybe this is your first, and thank you for tuning in. And you don't forget to leave the podcast 5 stars, you guys.